What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So before I start this review, I just want to apologize. I know I said in my last video that I'm going to try to get a spoiler review out for Spider-Man No Way Home, but keyword try. I did say I would try, but then I got sick. I'm cool now, but I just started feeling really sick. Just at the pit of my stomach just tightened up. I don't know what was going on. I was in the middle of it, but I just couldn't finish it, so... it is what it is, but today we're going to talk about Matrix Resurrections, which just came out this weekend. It's also streaming on HBO Max, but yours truly. I go for the theater experience, nothing more, which is definitely worth it, which is a thing I'll always say, especially about a movie like this. The film was directed by Lana Wachowski and return stars Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss. And the story follows Thomas Anderson, a video game developer who was set free after finding out about his past and joins a group of rebels to fight a new threat. First of all, let me just say, I never thought I'd see the day. Growing up, I loved the first three Matrix movies. And I know I said I'd try to do a film series review leading up to Resurrections, but I never got around to it. I apologize for that. I will start doing more film review series and try keeping to my word on that, but stupid things keep on getting in the freaking way, so hopefully one of these days. So when it came to Matrix Resurrections, the first three I loved. Growing up, I was a young teen. I think I was actually like 12 or 13 when the original came out. And then when Reloaded and Revolutions came out, which I've seen both in theaters, I really started getting into that franchise. Now, if I rewatch those particular ones, I can see all the flaws that everybody's griping about it. But, moving on, I never thought I'd see the day that I'd see another Matrix movie. I remember a past friend of mine and I would argue, sometimes, not really argue, but like talk about, do you think we'll see another Matrix movie? Especially after the way Revolution ended. And I would always say no. Again, I never thought I'd see the day that I'd see another Matrix movie. Whenever all the signs started popping up, well, okay, another Matrix movie is on the way, I was like, seriously? So basically, I was pretty much pumped. I was pumped for this new Matrix movie, especially when the trailers started coming out, and we got that first awesome trailer, and then the second trailer came out, and I was thinking, oh, okay, but I do have some issues, which I will get to later. So for now, starting off with the positives for the Matrix Resurrections. First of all, the name. That really does make sense. Them actually, naming this one Resurrections, the name really fits. And without getting into much specific details, it really does fit, especially because the way Revolution ended. As everybody knows, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen the original trilogy, who hasn't, but I'll say it anyway, spoiler alert. They both died. Neo and Trinity died at the end of Revolutions. So whenever they came up with this, I was thinking, what are they going to call it? And then they came up with Resurrections because I noticed Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss is going to return. So, duh. So I really do like that. I really did like the fact that they called it Resurrections. And the world of the Matrix in this new film, it didn't really lose its touch. I feel like that the look and feel of this film was pretty mesmerizing. It was very solid. It was very epic. The fight sequences was really cool. I mean, the choreographed, it was shot very nicely. It was done very well. Sometimes you get those elongated shots when Neo would be fighting with like some of the agents. And of course you got like some of the bullet time. It wasn't as epic and cool as the original Matrix, but you still got like some bullet time. You got some fight sequences, slow motions, just jumping up in the air. Your typical Matrix movie. It's something you'd expect, and it's something that's pretty much been established in this franchise ever since that first movie. The Matrix franchise was a game changer in Hollywood at the time of that film's release of the original 1999 film. It pretty much changed the course of action films to come from that point. So, of course, in Matrix Resurrections, I expected nothing less. That's why I really wanted to see this. That's why I see movies of this magnitude. Is for the fighting and the action and the slow motions and the bullet time. What else do you go to a movie like this for? Honestly, it was just very astonishing, especially with the special effects. Unlike with Reloaded and Revolution, this one was more grounded. And of course, it's been like around 17 years, give or take, since 2 and 3 came out, since those came out the same year, back in 03. Special effects has improved a lot since the early 2000s. And the special effects in this film was pretty mesmerizing. It was pretty cool. It was more controlled. It didn't really feel much like it was too much out there. It didn't seem like as silly as Reloaded and Revolutions was. Like some of the special effects in those films was a little cheesy, especially the Burly Brawl scene in Reloaded. That one with like all the different Agent Smiths fighting him and then of course create that dog pile on top of him and then like him like swinging them back and forth like bowling pins, and that just got silly to a point. As I stated, growing up, I love these movies, but again, like I said, I could see a lot of the flaws in those films now. But as far as Matrix Resurrections goes, the special effects was awesome. It was just very well done. Of course, Keanu Reeves, really lost his touch. I'm seeing like some reviewers out there that's kind of like griping on his character, saying that he doesn't really bring anything new, but to me, that's the Neo I know. I don't know what they're talking about. A lot of people are saying that it's just John Wick in a Matrix movie, or in a Matrix world. I forget how the saying goes. He just really had lost his touch, that's all I can say. And some of the other characters is cool too, like Jessica Henwick as Bug. She really stood out. I really did like her character. She showed that type of leadership that you want in a film like this. She was basically the leader of the rebellion, of the rebels that Neo joined. I think she was a pretty cool addition to have in hopeful future films, if we get any, if the box office holds up. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II made a pretty decent enough replacement for Lawrence Fishburne for Morpheus. He does play Morpheus in this, kind of like a young version of Morpheus. I'll get into more of this like later on in the negatives, but I never really had a problem with his portrayal in this film of Morpheus. I do like him as an actor. He just came fresh off of Candyman here recently, and I really do like this guy as an actor. He's pretty cool. Though I have my issues, which I'll get into in a minute, he was still pretty cool. And I like the story. I like the fact that the story, without giving too much away, the story does kind of revolve around Trinity, in a sense, in a way. And I like how they opened that up, because like I said, the way Revolutions ended, they answered me in a good enough way as to how they brought these characters back, particularly Trinity and Neo. It was satisfying enough for me. I don't know how else to put it. It just revolved a little around Trinity, not the entire thing, but I liked that, I guess you could say side plot. And as much as I harped on this movie, as much as I gave it praise, as much satisfaction that it gave me, I still had my issues with it, which brings us to the negatives. First of all, let me just say, Mr. Smith, played by Hugo Weaving, was like the top of the food chain of villains that I always admired growing up in the original trilogy. The way Hugo Weaving would play that character was just priceless. He owned that character, especially with his lines like, Mr. Anderson. The way he says those lines, the way he delivered those lines in those films was just amazing. It was just awesome. Hugo Weaving owned that character. The guy that they got to play Smith in this, Jonathan Groff, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, didn't really do nothing for me. I know they were trying to go in a different direction, in a newer generation, I guess you could say, but I've got to mention the way they did Reloaded. Like whenever he defeated Smith at the end of the original Matrix, then he comes back in the same form, only with more Smiths. So that sounds like something that they could have done again in Resurrections. emphasis on the Resurrections title. I think they had like scheduling conflicts or something. That's why Hugo Weaving couldn't really return for this. But I just felt like if they waited on filming until whatever Hugo Weaving was doing was finished and then had him in it, it could have benefited. For me, anyway. But this guy, he didn't do anything for me. And it didn't really help that he tried to deliver some of the lines exactly how Hugo Weaving did in the original Matrix. That didn't help at all. It just kept on proving my point, if anything. Same goes for Lawrence Fishburne. You know, Yahya Abdul-Mateen played a decent enough Morpheus. He killed it. But it just felt like there was a big void. Having Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving absent, it just felt like a big void. Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Jonathan Groff, I just felt like they had some pretty big shoes to fill. Now, Yahya Abdul filled Fishburne's part, but not Jonathan Groff on Mr. Smith. I didn't really get anything from him. Morpheus, the way Lawrence Fishburne portrayed that character in the first three, it was epic. But again, Yahya Abdul, he did a pretty decent enough job. But it's just the fact that not having Hugo Weaving and Lawrence Fishburne was just weird. It just felt like a big gap. That's all I could pretty much say on that. The Matrix Resurrections is a fun watch. It didn't really have that big of an impact. I was still excited rolling out of it. I was still, pretty much pumped. But it just didn't grab me as much as the originals. When you grow up with something like this and you watch constantly, it's an original concept at the time, and then they try to play this off as like more of a reboot, but it was still a sequel. Because like some of the scenes were exactly like, they tried to replicate some of the scenes of the original trilogy. Which, don't do that. At a certain point, it started to feel like Psycho that came out in 1998. Like how every scene of that, they tried to replicate, like exactly to Hitchcock's original. Yeah, I kind of started feeling like that at some points, but for the most part, Matrix Resurrections was a fun watch. So Matrix Resurrections, have you seen it yet? What did you think of it? Did you like the new direction that they took? Or would you prefer watching the original three and calling it a day? Leave me your comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. As usual, like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.